can see it. Are you sure you want to start streaming the event? I clicked that a couple of times. Your event is starting. It says live 3 seconds into this. So guys, in case it's actually working and the stuff's now streaming on YouTube,
Let me refresh.
welcome back to the Micromoto studio.
Yeah, YouTube's working for me now.
That's good. So now this should be a shareable stream. So Travis, if you want to go ahead and post this into the chat room, which is currently, well, I'm gonna figure this out over here on the screen. So we currently see the chat room on the screen. If you're watching this and you want to enter the chat room live, you can just enter the bit.ly link at the bottom of the screen into your browser. You get to an info page, and in there will be a link to the Discord chat server where you can join the hashtag livestream room to participate in the discussion and throw your words into the chat room as well. With me in the stream, if I switch over to you guys here, oh, that was the wrong button, is Monty FPV and Not Fast Enough. On the top right, you can see him, who have put their hand up to help me running this episode 0 of the FPV Academy, which is stuff that we make up while we go, but we sort of have a plan what it should be, which is a place to meet amongst people who are interested in FPV, and especially to connect bridges between those who know and those who want to know, to pass on what we've learned and to pass on the passion and spread the fun of FPV in general and micro FPV in specific. So even if I switch over to the chat room, these two guys here, and probably in the future more folks who want to spend their time in and either ask or answer questions, even if I switch over, they don't disappear. Their voices will be still in the background. Usually you can see the chat room here because that'll be one of the main points of contact here. So if you want to join and contribute live, then you can do that. So I will endeavor to talk about the topics that are in the chat room, and the faster the chat room is moving, the faster we will be moving topics. So this is episode 0, which we will probably do repetitions of in the future as well, which is talking behind the scenes, what we are doing, what setup are we using, why are we doing this, and what are the people behind this. I've done live streams for quite a long time, but I also had a massive break in between them, interrupted with a couple of sessions that I did a couple of months ago. But the bulk of the live streaming that I've done, that's already, I don't know, I think a year or longer ago. So since you've seen me last on this frequency, yes, Mullet, I lost some kilos. I made some changes to my daily routines. I exercise a lot more, and I don't eat less, but I eat different. So yeah, lost some fat. Lost I think 15 or 20 kilos since you seen me last, and I feel right on the line again with that. So 79 kilo. That was my weight through all my active career, and then I started working more and typing more and just worrying about other things than staying fit. So, but yeah, I learned that that's not only a physical thing, but being fit, eating the right stuff, and exercising right is also very important to keep smart and active and reactive. So, yeah, back to the old form, I'd like to say. Let's see. The main thing I just did about a couple of minutes ago was turning on the YouTube portion of this. Everyone who's watching now, I explained this a couple of times in the last couple of minutes, but one more time in escalation 3, adding the YouTube channel to it. This stream is running over an aggregation service so that we can run multiple instances of it in various places in order to make sure that it's all running before we turn on the next one, which brings on hopefully a larger audience. So the last one we've switched on is the YouTube connector, and now I'm trying to get back onto the YouTube control room to see who's joining us here and if it's all working. And yeah, in the meantime, how about you guys throw in a couple of quick words of introduction? I switch over to the Zoom meeting and I hand over the word to Travis, not fast enough, who has taken a lot of responsibility in this community, most remarkably for me, yeah, being a very active contributor, moderator in our MMW community forums. So yeah, Travis, word to you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're here, and what you want to do here.
Well, first off, I'd like to say thanks for the invite. I'm definitely excited to be here. I think this is a great opportunity to reach out to our community and give people a chance to interact with us. To ask some questions, to listen to some advice that we might have, to especially newcomers to the hobby, have a better experience. For me personally, I'm thrilled that I have a chance to interact without typing, because if you answer 150, 200 questions a day and you're typing them all out, I can get a little old. And personalities don't really come through when you're typing. It's hard to communicate who you are or where you're coming from and get a feel for who somebody else is. We have this amazing environment where we have a common goal and we're all trying to do the same thing, and we create some great and lasting friendships. And I'm really proud to be part of the community and to contribute what I can. And it's fun, and help other people come out and make more contributors and more people to answer questions, and change the world one flight at a time. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for that. So as I said in the beginning, you're already in this place for quite some time. And yeah, you've been a very good example of what I'd like to see in a lot more people. You joined our community as someone who didn't have a clue of that, but just realized, wow, this is all way over my head. I need some help to get this stuff working. And if you've seen this forum, you came to us and just thrown a question into the forum, and immediately a couple of people have been there and helped you, and you worked through all these technical issues to get your stuff working, and now you've come out at the other end and are a big contributor to all the new people who are joining this hobby. So yeah, which brings me to my next guest here, to Monty FPV, which I've only got to know today because Travis said this would be a great guest for a show. He's already learned the first couple of things, but he's still quite at the beginning of the journey of living the FPV lifestyle. So yeah, Monty, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Benedict. Like you mentioned, I'm a youngster compared to you guys in FPV. I've been doing this since April 2017, and the learning curve was steep. And at first, I started going at it alone, just watching YouTube videos, but it's not very successful, nor is it fun. A lot of trial and error, mostly error. But when I realized there was a community of people out to help, that's when the friendship starts, and all the communication starts, and chatting with everybody, and that's when the learning really kicks in, and that's something that's really brought me along. Trav talked about this and have an opportunity to spread knowledge, learn more. I'm all about that. I really enjoy this type of hobby where we're building, flying, learning, and it's not something you can master within 2 hours. This is long term, always learning something, always putting your mind to it. Good problem solving, good fun all around.
Yeah, I think this expresses pretty much what every one of us is into for. So yeah, thanks a lot. So down the track, I want to invite more people into this video chat, and maybe we're also going to use the voice the voice chat function in Discord. I don't know yet. As I said, we're making things up as we go. But yeah, in essence, it should be a dialogue between newcomers and between those who know how this stuff works. Previously, back in the days where we did this live stream, it was mainly just me and the people in the chat room geeking out and going into crazy detail about what we're all doing. And I still want to do that, that's fun, but primarily what I want to achieve here is put this in simple terms, explain people how it is. And the easiest way for that, I think, is if we actually have people in here who, are asking the stupid questions. I explicitly want to invite people who don't have a clue of that, but do have the determination to learn something. Come here and keep us grounded so that we don't just geek out on crazy high level topics and if this then that and how about we develop this and how about we make a new version of the flight controller and then everything is going to be better. But how do we use what we have now, which is enough? When we started this, it was kind of not possible for the normal human being, the non-geek, to get flying. But these days, with the help of a couple other people and with all the almost ready to fly stuff that there is, it's fairly possible to take a couple $100, buy some mid-range gear and have some fun with not so much investment of time and money. So, previously, back in the days, it used to be thousands of dollars and month of your life that you had to throw into this to just be able to hit the throttle and go fly. And then it was very quickly over because something happened, something burned, something crashed, something happened, and you've been on the ground again, fiddling and soldering and gluing. And yeah, I think the times are over. So I think we can open the floodgates just a little more to invite more people and say, hey, if you don't have a clue, if you're going to want to go from 0 to FPV, join the Academy. So yeah, let's switch over to the chat room again and see you is there. Nice thing is, whenever I switch over there, I see this line, new messages, and Bumper says Skinny Benedict version 2.0. Yeah, I really got to shed some weight because I plan to go for my Shotokan black belt in I think 6 or 12 months or whatever, and yeah, I need to be able to run 5 kilometers in 30 minutes. So it's a lot harder than if you carrying all this weight around. So yeah, version 2.0, I feel like that as well. So thanks, Bumper, for your comment. Mullet says having a community is great. Even a local one is even better. Yeah, we touched on that as well. I'm also working on ways to support and engage local communities, because yeah, that's definitely one of the main points. It's so much easier when you have people we can share equipment with, we can see in person how stuff's working, as opposed to over the internet. And then of course, the best fun I had in this hobby is actually sitting together and just fun racing around your house with a couple of people. I've been to many FPV events, but yeah, the most fun were just where it's kind of all low key and you just have a simple whoop flying around and you're kind of chasing yourself around the house. So that's the kind of level I want to promote here, even though these are the basics that you then can use to become an event organizer or become a famous pilot, or find some other way that you that makes you happy in this hobby. So yeah, Monty saying hanging with buddies local and afar. That's what we want to do. For me, Ninja is not that sure. Sorry for everyone's wallet. I remember the nervous bits when I went for my showdown test, says For Me Ninja. Oh, you walked the path before? Yeah, maybe you can share some advice on that. Mullet says he's down with FPV barbecues. Yeah, very good plan. There's some here coming up as well. It's getting summer again in Australia. And Black GI says he has angle mode down, but acro skills, I'm here for the learning. Yeah, I always been a big fan of angle mode. I think that still has a place, even though it's there's more freedom in flying acro. But yeah, that's a discussion for another day as well. We can make a whole or multiple whole episodes of that. And I also plan to invite guests who have more flying skills than all of us here currently have. I happen to know quite a few very good pilots, and one of them is kind of local to me. I met him at the last FPV race that I have attended, which was the Military International Drone Racing Tournament in the Victoria Barracks in Sydney, Australia. And I'm talking about BMS Thomas. Some of you might heard about him. He has won a couple of very significant FPV races, and I have watched him flying in person many times, and he's an absolute machine. He's an absolute remarkable talent, and he's also very willing to share with others what and how he's doing. So I hope to have him here on the show at some stage and share some of his knowledge with us.
Benedict, do you know how long you've been flying?
Sorry, Trev, what did you say?
I said, do you know how long Thomas has been flying? Because he's a young dude.
He's 19, I think. He's flying. Yeah. He's flying not for as long as I do. So I have met him where he had zero experience, and I've seen him rising from I got to figure out what the stick is doing to absolute insane maniac and making everyone else on the track look slow.
Wow, that's just incredible.
Yeah. So the first aha moment for me in my FPV career where I said, oh wow, shit, I'm really just a very, very basic stick fumbler, was when we had our first Australian national FPV flying event in, I think it was April 2016, and we invited prominence from across the ditch. We invited Night Fury. So
yeah,
I'm just blanking on his actual name. Damn. Sorry, you guys, you got to take over a little bit. I have DHL coming and picking up a package, so I'll leave it to you to chat for a second.
Yeah, I think the subject of Thomas is a really good one because it's just this amazing inspiration of how far you can come in a relatively short time, and the experience of learning to fly. It comes in big jumps forward and then plateaus where nothing seems to change for a while. I don't know. What's your experience been with that, Monty?
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot to master, and it's like riding a bike. You're trying to watch all these different bits and pieces, and for me, it took a while. I'm an older dude. I'm 46, and I dove into this head in, and it's been a lot of fun. It is plateau though. Like you hit a certain area and you're happy, and then all of a sudden, you keep chugging at it and things break through, and you're like, wow, I can do that, and just keep hoping to progress more and more. That's why I stick with this. It's so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I don't really know how long Benedict said he's been flying, about the same amount of time that he has, but I don't know how long Ben's been flying. Is that about what, 3, 4 years, 5 years now, Ben?
Yeah, I've started flying around 5 years ago. Yeah, so but
Okay.
a lot of that time was kind of spent quite ineffectively back in the days because yeah, I just didn't have a proper platform, but I was building and programming that thing at the same time while I was learning to fly it. And every time it just spontaneously crashed into a wall and disintegrated, I was kind of sitting there and thinking, or is it me who can't deal with it properly, or is something wrong? And
We had no defaults. We had no defaults that would actually fly anything 5 years ago. And
exactly, yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I
So
did. I've left. In fact, I left my first couple attempts at making videos on my channel, and they're total embarrassments. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and the thing is shaking around and it's bouncing, and I mean, I had no camera angle. It was terrible. I mean, it was absolutely horrible by today's standards. But I refuse to take it down. I'm not embarrassed that it's there. I love looking back at that and going, I was so excited just to fly the thing line of sight down my driveway and get it to come back to me without, successfully. And that was this huge victory. And it took, months and months to get to that point. Um, it was, things are a lot different now. It's a whole different ball game. I mean, things are, even on defaults, they fly pretty darn well.
yeah, so I'm thinking back to the time where I started to fly, and there was no FPV yet. So this was I just looked it up before the stream. I looked up my first post under my current ego. I had an account before on RC groups, but that was mainly for reading and a couple of posts about my RC cars. But then when I got into FPV, I thought, okay, I'm gonna start over, and I'm not gonna use some silly name. Previously I just made up some name, but then I thought, okay, I want to reinvent myself online, and I'm gonna want to use consistently my name because my name is not very common. So if my name would have been David, then it would be a lot harder. But I managed to get just my first name on most of the just by Reddit. Someone else who's inactive stole my name 10 years ago. But yeah, so I created a new account on RC Groups, and on the 8th of August, no, 80808, according to the Chinese calendar, a very lucky date, in 2013, I posted my first thing. I said, guys, I bought this Pocket Micro Hobby King quad, and yeah, I just kind of can't figure it out. Can you help me? And so this was exactly like everyone else got into this. At first you start Googling and trying to figure it out, and at some point you say, well, I really don't know. I've done everything, so maybe, I'm so desperate here, guys, here's what I did. Maybe you can help me with that. And then I have 3 months later, I posted a video where I was just so proud of that I could fly this thing properly. And as I just said, there was no FPV yet, so I started learning to fly line of sight. And I think it's harder to fly line of sight than to fly FPV because mainly of that orientation thing. As soon as you turn around, it took me 3 months to get this out of my head that when I fly away and turn around, that I'm doing the wrong stick input, and blam, this thing crashes against the wall. Because as soon as it drifts to the left, the instinct is to push more to the right, which is the wrong direction, and then blam, this thing is in the wall. So
yeah, but I think it's even more than that though, because I flew airplanes from the age of 13 years old, all the way up, and so I had no orientation issues at all. And flying line of sight still scares the dickens out of me. I mean, like, I'm just convinced I'm going to make one wrong move and catch this thing in the face.
yeah, it's just more tricky that, and a plane is always going forward, so you always have sort of an orientation, but in a quad it can go all directions, so that makes it a lot harder. So at some point someone told me that you don't need to look at it, but you need to feel where's forward and backwards. So I was really, how can you do that? So then I thought about ways how to train my brain to figure this out. So I built a quad which I made completely black. So it was one of my Latrex alias, who usually has different props, colors. Everyone kind of thinks, oh, I need to make the quad so I can see where the back and the front is. So I always put, for line of sight flying, different prop color on the front than on the back. So I thought, okay, scrap that. Tape over the LED that shows me where the back is. So this thing had a very smart feature for line of sight flying. It had an LED in the back. So if you lose orientation, you just yaw around until you see the LED, and then it's all good again. So I spray painted over the LED. I put only black props on, and then I started flying this by throwing it like a frisbee. So it was kind of flying away, and you can't know which way it is, and then I got to figure out the correct orientation. And I did this for half an hour or so, and then suddenly, boom, it clicked in my head, and I could, from just moving the sticks, I could derive the orientation from this thing, know what to do, which is basically just in angle mode. It's even easier. You push forward and give it some throttle, and then it'll start flying some direction, as opposed to kind of figuring out. You just commit. You just go throttle forward, and it'll go some way, and then it's like a plane. It's all going, it's this way, cool. I just yaw a little bit until it's flying towards me or away from me or whatever you want to, but you gain some orientation where it's going, and then do the rest from there. And since then, this is what I'm doing. If this thing is flying around there, if it's just hovering and you're not giving it any input, you don't know which way it's which. You need to have some interaction, and then you figure out where it's going.
So you threw it like a frisbee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it.
I know. I want to try it too.
I mean, I'm pretty. I can go out there for some reason with a tiny whoop or a little, a 7 or an 8mm brush micro, and lean forward and just scream an acro line of sight pretty well. But it's when I get into anything 2-inch brushless and up starts to. I guess I've just got a mental block, or I know what props do when they hit you, and I don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
yeah.
I'm gonna try it though. I'm gonna give it the old frisbee toss. In fact, I'll live stream tossing my quad like a frisbee and seeing if I can figure out which way it is going.
Yeah, so I used the Latrex alias for that, which it's good if you calibrate everything before you do this, because some quads might just not like to be armed while you're doing this, but this thing did it just fine, and it helped me a lot to learn flying. But I have also chosen this. It's a 5-inch quad, but it weighs 90 grams or something. So it's using brushed motors and the gearbox. So even though it has 5-inch props, you can just, while they're running at full speed, put your finger in there and it stops it. They're plastic, soft plastic props that not going to hurt anyone. They actually hurt less than a 70-gram 120mm quad, like the Parrot mini drones or the DJI Tello of that size, because the props are swinging a lot slower. So
I've never actually flown one of those geared 5-inch quads before. And I think probably the reason why is when I wanted to get into micros, I saw you were building the tiny things with the brush motors. Like how do the gear reduction quads fly? Like do they actually rip pretty well, or?
Well, I call this my no-wind kite. I'm big into flying kites, so stunt kites and all sorts of kites. And this thing, there's not much to it. It's very robust. It has a little roughly 9-to-1 ratio gearbox, and it flies very docile. It doesn't have a lot of punch, even though with putting some better motors in there, the stock motors are kind of tame, but using some little harder motors, it has some decent speed, but it's nowhere near the performance of a brushless quad, and also not near the performance of a smaller quad that's using the same motors in direct drive. but it flies very consistent and precise, and it's probably one of the best acro trainers there is, because of the easy visibility and less momentum, so you can make a lot more errors without being punished for it, and because of the stock setup. So this is now running a different flight controller, so you can fly this with the Tyrannus and has full acro mode, and you can tune the PIDs and whatnot. But the stock flight controller on this was pretty remarkable. It had a beginner mode, an angle mode with 2 different rates, and it had a acro mode, which had 2 ways to help you still overcoming the initial issues that everyone has with acro mode, which is, you lose orientation. It's kind of going this way and you don't know what to do, and instead of going upright, you go further down and boom, you hit the floor. So this thing had 2 ways to kind of help you with that. At first, if you are sort of level, it would help you by doing this last spot to get it perfectly level, so it would kind of hover, so it would just nudge you always a little bit into neutral. And you would also have a bailout button. So there was a shoulder button on the remote controller, which you could press to momentarily get from acro mode back into angle mode. So you're messing it up, you're just pressing the button briefly, it would angle, and then you could keep practicing. So yeah, this is where I learned flying. This is what I learned flying acro with, and a lot of people are surprised about that, and some people comment very emotionally on some of the videos saying, "Well, dude, I didn't know that you're still flying angle mode," but I think it has a lot of advantages, especially when you're getting smaller. So my theory is the smaller a quad gets, the more direct is the link between an attitude change and an actual lateral movement. If you have a very heavy quad or heavy plane, let's say a Boeing 747, if it changes the angle, it'll take a long time until actually something happens. So it's quite easy to fly in acro mode. But if this thing only weighs 20 grams and it gets moved to the side, and immediately it moves to the side, so you have a lot less time to react. And so that's number one, why I think that acro mode is getting harder the smaller and the lighter the quad gets. And number 2 is, if you're flying especially the whoops, which are protected with ducts, kind of crashing into stuff is part of the game. And the moment you crash into something, then you need the feedback of information is fed back to your eyes, and you need to figure out what happened, and then you need to make the right input to get it level again, or get it in whatever position you need to get away from what you just crashed into. And oftentimes during that time you crashed into something else already, and then you crashed into something else, and then you already hit the floor. Whilst if you're flying in angle mode, you hit something, and before you even realized that you hit something, it already has leveled up again, and you can keep going. So yeah, I make it as part of my regular flying routine, and to keep my brain active, that I practice acro. But the most fun flying I have when it's easier, when I don't crash that often, and when things just work easier. And I like to spend my time, instead of practicing in acro mode, I spend my time in hacking around in the code to make angle mode more powerful and easier to fly. So the main thing I see in acro mode that, yeah, I kind of like it as well, but it's flipping and flopping. If I want to get from A to B, if I just want to fly around, look at different places, explore my environment, yeah, I just kind of want to have it as easy as possible. I want to crash as few times as possible, and I also want to be able to pass that on, what we have learned, what we've achieved, to the next person. And I know it's just a lot easier to fly angle mode. But I also know that there's a lot of other opinions out there. So the common opinion that I see on the typical racing forums, etc., people are saying, no, you don't spend your time with flying angle mode at all. This is messing with your reflexes, and this is teaching you the wrong thing. start flying acro as soon as possible. Yeah, I think there's just two different camps on it, and both are probably right in some way.
Well, that's I think it's kind of an antiquated message. We didn't have tiny whoops and indoor quads and ducted or bumpered things when that message started being communicated to people. And I think the vision of where the hobby was going, or where we were encouraging people to go in the hobby, were these large, large spaces outdoors, swooping over trees, aerobatic maneuvers, the videography of it. And, obviously there's, the racing circuits for larger quads too. But, it's changed. I mean, we've got things that perform amazing and fly inside, that fly, when I fly, I rip around the garage right here. And I can put an entire track in one garage. So it's different. And I flew, I came up in the older school of quads, and I started flying acro because that's the message that was given to me. And it's really only within the last 6 months that I even started flying angle mode. And I was kind of pushed into it by my teammates, and they wanted to make sure that I was participating on the team level. We were all sort of focused together in our racing skills and the hardware that we were making. And so I had to bite the bullet and explore angle mode. And it makes sense. I mean, I was faster on my indoor track. It was easier to hit gates with the extra assistance. I mean, so, I went from preaching acro only for years to adopting angle mode. And there's a place for it now. It definitely exists, and we have to sort of kill that old message, I think.
Black GI said it's okay to fly angle mode. Yeah, I've always been of that opinion, and I had a significant moment where I realized, I think I'm right with that, which is, I've been participating in FPV events in Australia for a long time, and in the beginning it was only me flying micros, and the other people were flying at this point, 5 to 8 inch quads. And at some point they said, you know what, this micro thing is all kind of fun. How about we have a dedicated micro event happening next to our regular FPV events? So I brought a couple of whoops around, and all the seasoned racers said, I'm just gonna put this into acro mode straight away and beat the crap out of you with your stupid angle mode. And after a couple of runs and no one reaching the finish line at all, they kind of said, oh yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. And since then everyone's flying angle mode on the micros. There seems to be something very much in relation to the size that makes it different, because no one would win a proper scale, say full-size 3 to 5 inch outdoor race in angle mode, because you just don't have enough control over it. And but I think with more programming, with more fine-tuning of the angle mode, this might change a little bit as well. So what I used to say for quite some time, if someone tried to get into an argument with me online about those modes, and I said, look, everyone's fine. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just kind of talking about what I'm doing and my thoughts about this. But anyhow, usually I then said, the people who are arguing with me and telling me that angle mode is so stupid, they didn't even change the fundamental values of angle mode in the flight controller. And those people who have put angle mode in there, they're not doing it themselves either. They considered it as a beginner mode and just put very tame values in there. Value number 1 that needs to be changed if you want to get crazier with this and try to win some races is to increase the maximum inclination angle, or whatever it's been called throughout the progressions of multi-wheel, clean flight, better flight, and all other software that's being used these days to fly quads. Default in Betaflight is 55 degrees. You don't get very far with that, because if you then suddenly want to stop and punch against it, you're kind of going up, or you're not going in this direction. You need at least 90 degrees or a little less, like 80 degrees of tilt angle to apply some aggressive throttle if you want to go somewhere. And if you do that, change the value to, I usually do put it to 85 degrees, then suddenly you gain a lot of what people want from acro mode. You cannot do flippity flops, but I usually don't want that. I had a period where spent a lot of time flipping and flopping, and you also can do that in horizon mode if you want to have it a little easier. And then I sort of got the bug out of the system, like when you're young, when you're 18 or 20 and, make your driver's license and get your first rear-wheel drive car. It's kind of fun to do donuts out in the streets, but after a while you figure, damn, it costs me a lot of tires, and the cops are after me and people don't like it. So how about I just go normal now? So, and yeah, that was kind of for me. Like I said, okay, I did flippity flop for some time, and now.
Wow.
So, and I know quite a few people who see it like that as well. We many times in our FPV events we have the discussion: do we want to have a freestyle event or not, or do we just want to do hardcore racing? Everyone puts his slabs down on the track, and from time to time we then have a flippity flop, how do you say, break and let people go nuts on the track. So I think it's all kind of working. I kind of feel like feels to me like a deja vu to have the chat room going here and talking to the people online. So yeah, just grabbing the chat room now and quoting a couple of things there. So just for everyone who just started watching, to give you a little bit more insight what I'm doing here. So when I remove you guys for a second from my from the online stream here, behind what's over there, usually the part of my laptop here, putting the chat room and the video chat into the stream. Behind that is one of my computers here where I'm running a couple of chat rooms. So I thought I arranged it this way. So when I turn on the chat room here, then it actually looks like I'm looking at the chat room. So I'll switch it over here. So we now see the chat room there, which is the same thing that I see on my screen. So it's kind of really confusing, but I thought in the end it makes sense. So I see quite a few people of the old school. Mr. JT Walker, welcome back, my friend, who's been a big contributor to these kind of online events for as long as I can think. I can see Mullet here as well, which I remember also being a big participant of all the past things, and you can see him here on top as a moderator in the Discord chat as well. So yeah, welcome back, my friend. And I see our two live participants, Monty FPV and Not Fast Enough, in here. And then also I see a couple of new guys. Apologize if you've been sticking around for quite some time and I just don't recognize you. I think Black GI has been around for quite some time as well, but I currently can't connect the real name with you. And Snooks Oloik is here as well, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, but I don't recognize your name either. So welcome, my friend. He says, Benedict Flap, nice flops. So Black GI says he's new. Well, might go other ways around as well. And I remember some other username that's been on here before. Mullet says, thanks, glad to see the potato cast is still kicking. Yeah, I hope it's all looking a little better now than it used to back in the days. I'm on sort of a acceptable internet connection here, which I hope is streaming with a consistent 5 megabytes up now. I have around 10 or 12 megabyte upload capacity, which is way above the average of the Australian internet connection. Yeah, it's pretty pathetic how we look on the global scale in terms of internet connection. So I feel in relation pretty fortunate compared to lots of other people in this country who are just suffering along with like 100K upload or something. So I'm pretty happy about how it works right now, and in order to compensate quite a few of the issues that have been brought up by, or produced by the actual streaming providers like Facebook and YouTube and who else has been there. I'm using an aggregation service which hopefully creates more of a stability and maybe even some redundancy to keep things going when the going gets tough. So yeah, that's why we sometimes refer to this as the potato cast. I literally started streaming in 240p, and at some point, I think it was around 2016, or was it 2016? I think so. I just discovered this live button on YouTube and clicked it and said, go live. Does it work? And then suddenly, boom, someone said, hey, Benedict, I can see you, because my webcam was on. And since then, I've been bitten by the live bug, and enjoy this kind of interaction. So, I think most of the things that I learned in this hobby, they're coming from you guys, by me posting videos and kind of admitting that I understood something halfway, and then other people have chimed in and told me how stuff works. So yeah, many times it's really just, admitting to what you don't know, put a video about or some post out, and telling people how far you got. Maybe that even helps other people who haven't reached that point yet, but it also gives other people who didn't post about it but know how it works the opportunity to post on their video and tell you how it works. So, welcome to the first world, says Mullet. I'm kind of still feeling like I'm sort of at the edge of the world and we're almost falling off, because, yeah, the NBN, which is the National Broadband Network in Australia, has been just such a pathetic shit show. It's unbelievable. I left Germany more than 10 years ago, and I had a better internet connection there than I have right now, and I paid less for it. So, yeah, so it seems to me like this whole thing is on a good track now. Everything seems to be kind of working. I see other chat rooms. The YouTube chat has quite a bit of going on as well. I'm going to look at that in a second. But yeah, I want to make the first thing is, so if you guys are posting in the YouTube chat and feel kind of left out currently because I'm only talking to the people in the Discord chat, I'm kind of trying to address this down the track, but if you can, come over from here with my YouTube chat, come over to the Discord chat, and you'll be live on the screen. So Monty FPV, I think, asks me, he's here on the video chat as well, if the jumper is comfortable in my hands. Yes, it is. I love this thing. I have a few of them flying around here. You're talking about this little radio. I think we got to make radios one of the first 4, at least, episodes and talk about it. And yes, I absolutely love this thing. I have a massive Tyrannus collection and lots of other radios. I'm using this thing now. It has default Hall sensor gimbals and 140 different protocols in it, and yeah, it works really nice. Doesn't do everything that a Tyrannus does, but it does 99.9% of what I want from a radio. Here's another one, yeah, I really love this thing. Don't have that much experience yet with this, like with OpenTX, but yeah, I like it so much that I made it part of my strategy of teaching other people FPV. It's much easier to use this thing than Tyrannus, and I even put it in the hands of Thomas, BMS Thomas, at the last event, and he looked at it and said, "What's that kind of toy?" And then he was feeling the gimbal and said, "Oh, do you have another one?" So he's currently busy flying to China and competing in the FPV race there in Shenzhen. But when he's back, I'll get him one of those, and and get his opinion on this. And yeah, he, as I said, he felt the gimbals and said, "Wow, this is really good. This looks like a toy, but feels like a tool." And then his dad, who's supporting him with building all his quads and getting his equipment ready, he said, "Oh, wouldn't it be so funny if you, Thomas, would be flying in the events with this cheapish-looking toy and just beat everyone else on the track?" So yeah, they started to like this idea. So we hopefully have some very prominent pilot commenting on this radio very soon. So moving on, the chat room is scrolling up, so I'm doing my best to stay on top of it. Snooks Olik has a question. I want to fly whoops in cold weather, but the frames just keep breaking like glass. Is there better material for cold temps? I think the current Beta 65S frames are very solid. If you haven't tried those yet, I recommend to use those. Foamy Ninja, I think he's talking about the jumper, says the first generation one fit the best, but I think they got drilled for copying Futaba's T8FG shell. Probably, yeah, the previous versions of this radio looked very much like Futaba radios, and now they look like, yeah, something that they made up themselves. Looks like a cheapish toy, even though the yellow color has really grown on me, as you can see around the stream here and around me. I kind of like yellow. So, welder's glue is your friend, says Mullet. Yeah, just get a proper frame and it won't break that often. Crash says he's on satellite internet on an island. It's terrible. JT Walks likes his Devo 7E better than the jumper, but I know that, oh no, not JT, but Jelly Baka is a big fan of the jumper as well. I think I had a Devo 7 at some stage, but at this point I didn't want to bother with yet another operating system, so I just passed it on. When it says cockroach frames are good, not unbreakable though. Yeah, nothing is unbreakable, but I think the Beta 65S frames, at least the latest 3 versions of it, they keep pumping out new ones, are more stable, more resilient than the cockroach frames. Oh, I gotta hurry up. The chat room is scrolling along. Foamy Ninja says second generation works well. Talking about the jumper radio. He says was unbreakable indoors and he broke it first time at 4 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I don't have much experience anymore with 4 degrees Celsius. It's usually 15 or 20 plus here. Foamy Ninja says I would recommend installing a voice module in the jumper. It's a bit of a game changer. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm missing on here. Otherwise, I would put a voice pack on these things. But you need to do some modding. I hope that they eventually come out with a version which is doing that. Well, it says over boys and girls. I don't know what you mean by that. JT Walks, so post on that on Facebook somewhere. If you have access to an old laptop, the speakers are lovely fit. So you want to put laptop speakers in there. I think you got to also put some sort of a module in there. Some chatting amongst you guys. What protocol does the jumper run? There is 4 radio modules in there which support a gazillion of different protocols, and and you can even extend the protocols on this thing by just dumping some text files onto it, as far as I know. But I also know that Travis, not fast enough, is probably able to contribute a lot more to all this protocol thing. So this radio supports countless protocols. If you look it up, there's I think 145 different sub protocols that are currently supported, and you can extend that in the future. So I'm flying all my quads with that. That includes my DSM quads, my Alpha Sky quads, and a whole bunch of different toy quads it supports as well. The cheap E-Cheen E10 and E11s, which fly kind of crap out of the box because of the Peanut controller, they just fly so nice with this radio. So yeah, heaps of protocol. All of them, says JT Walks. Exactly, all of them. This is the killer feature on this thing. I'm getting towards the end of the chat room. adding voice to Deviation TX, talking about some details and how to do this. X9D for the win, says Shooter FPV. Welcome, my friend. The X9D is certainly a very popular still radio. I see most people who are racing professionally flying a Tyrannus X9D. So there's another option. Jumper just released a T12 not long ago. That's right. I forgot where I put mine, but I do have one, which is basically the same case like this guy here. It's just different color. Has the smaller screen and no Hall sensor gimbals. It's the T12 running OpenTX. No 4-in-1 module, but you can put a module in the back. But they also released a new version of it with Hall sensor gimbal stock. I'm not sure if they extended the display to this quite nice, a little larger OLED display. But yeah, if you're interested in a OpenTX version of that, I'd look out for the T12 Pro, I think it's called. Sorry, not so sorry, says Mullet, the cold is a bitch. Anything below 60 Fahrenheit and plastic starts to get brittle. How many channels is the jumper? This version of the jumper is 8 channels. I'm not sure if the T12 is 12 channels. Could be. I've reached the end of the chat room by talking super fast, so I move on to the other chat room, which is the YouTube chat, and then hopefully I'm gonna put a marker in here so I don't forget where to catch up on. So a lot of people in here already. Monty FPV is here as well. So yeah, if I miss something important, Monty, then you can point it out to me and just go quickly through the people who've joined us on YouTube here. Nick Burns, hey, welcome, my friend. A big contributor to the hobby as well, making lots of videos, way more than I can even watch, but yeah, some very good ones in there, always having some good information. Ray says hello from New York. Alaska Drone Racing says hello from Alaska. Arc FPV says, hey mate, YouTube's working fine. Sean Taylor, that's it. Dizzy FPV reminded me of the real name of Mr. Night Fury. Sean Taylor, very impressive pilot, but I think he'll get smashed on the track by Thomas. Having said this, I think they are working together as well. They're flying together in the same team in some instance. So yeah, they're good friends, and Sean Taylor being a lot older, a lot more experienced in life than Thomas, I think he taught him quite a few things that made Thomas even faster. So yeah, it's insane to watch these people fly. So as I got stopped in my tracks, distracted in some way, I said I watched Sean Taylor flying during our 2016 first Aussie event, and we just couldn't believe it. We kind of just climbed flying around the track, and then Sean Taylor came and just put the hammer down. Wow, wow, wow. 3 laps in the time where we did 1. We were so crap. So he, of course, won the event without any question. And but yeah, as I said, I think they're younger people now. Better response time, better hand-eye coordination would just make him look slow. Drone Mates FPV says hello from Gold Coast, Australia. Welcome, mate. Mike Candilor says, I learned LOS on an alias, soulmate. Jimmy B. Drone says he's learning acro. Snooks Oleg FPV is on YouTube as well. Johnny B. Drone is using a Beta FPV 65S Lite. Yeah, amazing thing. They sent me one for free because I'm buying a lot of stuff from them. And I kind of looked at it and said, yeah, another one of those crappy B&Fs. I took it out of the box, hooked it up to my jumper, and we're flying it around, said, damn, things have gone far. It's so much fun what you can get just out of the box now. What's the Discord, Chen, says Snooks, but he already joined that. Acro is the liberty of motion, that is right. I'm talking about liberty. Hello from Rhode Island, USA, says Ken Janchev, sounds Polish, is that right? Daniel Ketzar says, oh nice, I'm just north of you. Where are you, my friend? You can come along and hang out with us. We we have, I think, a Whoop event in Arena next week when it finally comes off. So Daniel Keza says you can do @mentions. I don't know if you can do this on YouTube chat. Have a go at this. Aussie Fraud Band, yeah. What you mean? Gotten to 24 degrees. Howdy, folks, says Andrew Allen. John Tivitt, my friend. Hey, welcome to the YouTube chat. John Tivitt is running our US logistics, shipping all the stuff. If you're ordering from the US warehouse, you get stuff from John and his wife. Welcome here to the show. And Snyderman, my old buddy Snyderman, FPV says, hello, old friend. Welcome back, dude. Still rocking the pink or purple. I'm kind of colorblind, so, but yeah, this odd color that you and your son like so much. Yeah, I have something here, that I want to show you. You've might have seen it already on some of my pictures. It doesn't fly very well, but it looks just super cool. Look at this. It has a couple rubber bands around it to hold the battery. It looks like an alien, and it's pink or purple. I don't know. I'm always getting in trouble with my kids for getting these colors wrong. I have arrived at the end of the chat room, and instead of keep on talking, I'll quickly switch over to you guys, to Monty and Trev, because I'm sure you have something to say amongst my whole monologue here. Do you?
I think that purple thing looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it gets sent to me. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name as well, but I'm getting sent a lot of stuff by other enthusiasts who kind of see me online, and I'm sending them the stuff, and they get sent back. Well, you know how the story, Trev. So, yeah, have you seen any messages on Facebook? Well, that's rather pointed to you, Monty, because I know, Trev, that you're not a big fan of Facebook at all. Which, some things that I forgot to point out. It's kind of getting busy just with you couple of guys in the chat room. It's I always feel kind of playing catch up, and I feel we're kind of getting in the same rut that we always been in those live streams, which is just going on and on and on, because the longer it goes, the more people jump on, and the more the chat room goes, and the more reluctant I am to actually cut it off and say, okay, that's it again. But yeah, I want to be more disciplined with actually cutting it off and keeping those recordings sort of short to, yeah, an hour is sort of the plan. Let's see if I can actually see here at all how long we're already streaming. No, I can't see it here. Oh, here on YouTube we're now for 1 hour and 5 minutes. So I think that's a good time to kind of wrap it up. So this was episode 0, the show before the show, the behind the scenes to get it all worked out again. And yeah, I think we did. It's kind of working. People are keeping the chat room busy again. And we're all kind of ready to go for episode 1, which is scheduled to happen next Monday, my time, which is Australian Eastern time.
Which of the 4 topics are we going to go over in episode 1? Remind us all.
Yeah, so there's 4 topics that I think we're gonna rotate around and then throw 1 or 2 extra ones in before we start the rotation again. So yeah, we want to talk about the RC link, about transmitters and RC receivers, topic number 1. We want to talk about multi-rotors, and specifically micro multi-rotors, how to make them fly and what to consider as topic number 2. We want to talk about wireless video transmission, specifically on 5.8 gigahertz as topic number 3. And we want to talk about charging of LiPo batteries, specifically 1S LiPos, but it's kind of not too much of a bridge to talk about multi-cell battery charging as well. So those 4 topics, as we have concluded, are those 4 that you absolutely need to know. If you don't know one of them, if you don't know how to use a transmitter, if you don't know how to set up a model, if you don't know how FPV video transmission works, or if you don't know how to charge and treat your batteries, you're not going to fly. And Then there's quite a few extra topics like 3D printing, video editing, live streaming, running events, whatever that can enhance the experience, but they are not that essential, so we don't want to dive too much and too often into them just yet. So yeah, amongst those four, what do you think, guys? To you in the video chat, but also to you guys in the various chat rooms, amongst those four, what should we start with? I usually have on top of my list always the transmitters, but yeah, that's just because it doesn't have any. It doesn't matter at what point we start, but yeah, couple of opinions if you have. Otherwise, yeah, I just make it up
I've
when we
always
go.
got an opinion. I'll go ahead and throw mine out. Maybe to kick it off, let's start with the actual craft, because that tends to be the focus of what we're trying to build everything else around.
Yeah.
And there's some valuable lessons there. I made close to a couple $1,000s of mistakes before I got the right craft in the right space, I think, in my history. So I knew what I was doing. So if we can give some people some advice there on, where to start and what's going to be right for them, because it's different for everybody. It's different depending on your space, and get some people pointed in the right direction and inspired that, they're going to have the thing that flies and it's going to work out well. I think that'd be a great place to start. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, that makes sense to me as well. So yeah, let's talk about the various quads you can fly, and let's talk specifically about what quads you should fly if you're completely new to this. So yeah, to underline this again, this is what I would like to have as the underlying theme here, that people who are new to this and don't have a clue at all, they should be able to understand what we're talking about. So, the newest of us three here in the group is Monty. So whenever you don't understand something, just say, hey guys, take a step back and tell me what this actually means. But I also think you are already so far entrenched into this, you know so much of the lingo, that we might need to have even newer people than you, and maybe even less tech inclined. So I don't know so much about you, Monty. As I said, we just met today in the stream here, but you leave an impression to me like you are not new to technology and all these things. You have a strong affinity to all this stuff anyway. So a lot of that seems to come natural to you. Maybe we scale it back and take even more novice people to ask the stupid question, which help us to stay grounded.
Yeah, sure.
So great subject says shooter FPV, how to tune a micro, where there's larger quads. Yeah, tuning is a big topic. So on the last event, I met one of my longtime friends by the name of CTZ Snooze. Chris Thompson is his real name, who is one of the Betaflight developers, and one of his super skills is analyzing log files. And I also got recently in the mail some Alien Whoop version 2.1 flight controllers with black box. They're currently sitting on my desk being put into flying condition. So I want to generate some log files of that to help us tuning them professionally, not just plugging numbers in and hoping for the best, but actually put some science behind tuning that and get some of the flaws which are still in Betaflight out of there. And so these are topics, but yeah, these are more advanced topics that we're gonna delve into in maybe episode 5 or 6 after we covered the 4 basics. So yeah, everyone who's seeing that, this was episode 0. We plan to run episode 1 in 1, 2, 3 days, about 2.5 days. So thanks everyone for joining in here. You want to have some closing words, Trev?
Guys, thanks for coming to hang out with us. It was a lot of fun. We'll be a little bit more focused when we come back on Well, it'd be Sunday evening for me. I'm East Coast U.S. We appreciate it. I hope you guys bring some great questions and point some people that you know who are getting started in the hobby to come and join us. This is, the focus is going to be to connect with as many new people and make their experience as positive as possible. Get them flying, get them having fun. So send everyone you know that has questions our way, and we'll try to help them out.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks also to you, Monty, for joining us today. If you want to, I'm happy to join in future episodes as well. This Zoom video chat, what we are running in the background, it's not limited as far as I can see in terms of participants, so we can add up to 100 people in there. But yeah, not sure how practical that is. We might have then some waiting rooms and moderators to handle all this, but with a couple of people that just kind of help me bridge the gaps and pick up the slack where I'm losing it. That's very helpful. So thanks a lot for you guys. I'm starting to de-escalate this now. So the first thing I'm turning off is the YouTube live chat. We have a couple of other streams that are running in the background, which I'm going to turn off later then. But yeah, that was the last escalation level currently to reach as many people as possible. So yeah, at this point, the YouTube stream is over. See you on